Assalamu alaikum, this is Muhammad from Team 7. This basically those are the team members, Madhat Usama, Iftikhar, and Ihtisham as well. Let me give you an overview of how we set up the project. Or first, let me give you an overview of the project itself. Basically, the chosen use case study is task management system, and we are creating, it's implementing using Ganjo REST framework. It's allowing the user to manage tasks. It's tasks like simple tasks like, for example, cleaning the dishes, I don't know, doing the assignment, whatever tasks. It's like task list. Then we have create and retrieve and delete functionalities via RESTful APIs. So basically those are the features and overview, and this is our GitHub repository. We have the tasks endpoints, API endpoints here. We have, for example, this is the content of the request body when we make like a new request, a new task. We have the title of the task, the description, and the completed or not, it's like Boolean value. So basically this is an overview. And regarding the retrieve, we can retrieve it using a list tasks, all the tasks, or retrieve just one task by ID. Uh, so now let's go to Visual Studio to see the projects. So basically, if we go, we started the project by running the Django admin utility command line, which is like a utility command line provided by Django to start the project and written everything. Um, so for example, we start by running like this command line, Django admin start project, then it starts our project. It starts by running, give us like this project, which is like responsible for the configuration of Django, and this is the specialized app, which is like a module that is responsible for the tasks all related. As you can see, we have the modules and serializers, URLs, views, everything related to the tasks is in this folder. And this basically is responsible for the configuration, as I said, for Django. For example, this settings file has the configuration of the project. For example, those the installed apps, again, app here in Django context means like a module or a subsystem or whatever you want to call it. So we have tasks, and this basically is for the Swagger documentation, and this for the REST framework. However, those are provided by Django itself, so it's not kind of related. It just comes with the project when we running the utility command line. So basically, those are the high-level URLs. Those are the accessible URLs. This is how we organize our application. For example, we can see the API and the tasks URLs. Basically, it's this modules with the URLs inside it, as my friend will explain later. This contains everything related to the tasks, and this is the Swagger, as it will be shown in the demo. It's like beautiful UI of how to access our endpoints. And here we have the models inside the task. This represents our model, this ORM, object relational model or mapper. This basically task is going to be translated to our database after we run the migrations here. Basically, this is auto-generated by Django command line. We write Python manage make migration, and it's going to create this based on this model. So this model is going to be like translated into the database. However, it's represented as an object, and that's what I like about Django here. And we have this serializer. Serializer is like a translation between a JSON and the model object. As you can see, we are importing our model object, the tasks, and we translate is like this will be later on used by the views. So it's like translation between the JSON and the object, and it's beautifully handled, as you can see here. That's all.
Hello everyone, this is Iftikhar bin Ahmed, and today I will walk you through a Django IDC framework implementation for managing tasks. I'm going to cover how to create, list, retrieve, and delete tasks using generic class-based views provided by DRM. So first of all, we're going to move to the imports. So here we start by importing necessary modules from the REST framework, our task model and the task serializer. And then moving on, we're going to so here is the first class task create view. So this view handles the creation of new tasks, and it uses the create API view to provide the necessary functionality. And then we have the class task list view. So basically, this view retrieves a list of all tasks, and it uses the list API view. Uh, yeah, and then we have the task retrieve view. Uh, this this view retrieves a specific task by its ID, and it uses the retrieve API view to provide the functionality for fetching a single task. And finally, we have the task delete view class. This view deletes a specific task by its ID. It uses the destroy API view for the deletion operation. Then I'm gonna move on to the urls.py. So basically, in this part, I'm going to explain how we configure URLs in our Django application to connect the views we discussed earlier with specific endpoints. This URL configuration allows clients to interact with our API through well-defined URLs. So yeah, first of all, of course, we're going to explain the imports. We start by importing the path function from Django.urls and the views we created earlier: task create view, task list view, task retrieve view, and task delete view. So these are the basically the so yeah, this is the URL patterns. So we define a list called the URL pattern that contains all the URL patterns for our task management API. And here, uh, so yeah, this is basically this is the URL endpoint for creating. This is the URL endpoint for creating task. So this is basically this is for the task create view, and then we have the task list view, and here this is basically the URL. This is basically the URL endpoint for listing task, and then we have the task retrieve view, and over here the URL endpoint. This is the URL endpoint for retrieving a task where this is a placeholder for the task ID. And then we finally have the task delete view. This is the URL pattern for deleting a specific task by ID, and this and this is the URL endpoint for deleting a task where this is a placeholder for the task ID. Yeah, that's all for me. Thank you.
So for my part, this model.python file has is using Django's object relational mapping, starting by importing the module from Django. And this task model has three fields: title, description, and completed, which is the basic suitable for describing the tasks and stuff. And for serializers.python, we have task serializer class inherits from serializer.module serializer, and here we can see all meaning all fields in the task model will be included in the serialized output. This setup enables easy serialization and deserialization of task instances to and from JSON format. And for urls.python file, we have the URL patterns basically, and its schema view function generates OpenAPI schema view with the metadata, including the API title, version, and stuff. And for this one, we have URL patterns. We have admin, which maps the admin interface, and for API, making making the API endpoint accessible, and for Swagger, provides a Swagger UI for API documentation, and for Path, Redoc provides a Redoc UI for API documentation. And that's all.
Hello everyone, my name is Meshat Osama and I'm gonna demonstrate to you how the API CRUD operations works. So as you can see here we have four actions: get, post, and get by ID, and delete. So as you can see here, in order to test this we have to first create a task. As you can see here, this is the schema of the task, a title, a description, and completed boolean. So if we want to test it, we just add a title. Let's say do laundry description and white clothes only, and completed. I'm gonna set it to false initially. So I'm gonna execute, and I'm gonna get the 201 for created status code, returns the ID and the title and description and false, and all of them are saved as a record in the database. So let's get this first ID. As you can see here, I'm gonna try out. I'm gonna put the unique ID that is present here, which is the first one. So I'm gonna execute to get the first ID. Follow after that, um, the get list of tasks. As you can see here, it's the index. So I'm gonna try out, execute. It gets a list of all the tasks that are in the database. So to test this, we have to add another task. So I'm just gonna put example task and description, and I'm gonna put, for example, completed as true. So I'm gonna execute, and then I'm gonna get the list again. So as you can see, I have two tasks. One of them is completed and the other is not completed. So in order to delete one of them, I can go out and use this endpoint for deleting tasks. It needs an ID, so I'm gonna give it the first one, which is not completed. So I'm gonna try it out and put 1. And that's pretty much it. 204 for delete operation. Thank you very much.